The boutique was in a fancy street in Los Angeles, filled with the soft sound of jazz music. Clean glass displays and clothes that cost more than most people's rent. Everything looked perfect, clean, and expensive. The staff inside wore suits and heels, their smiles sharp and practiced. The manager, Clara, was in charge. She was proud of her position and always kept her eyes on who walked in. She believed she could tell a customer's worth just by looking at them. Late one afternoon, when the boutique was quiet and the sun was turning gold outside, the glass door opened. A man stepped in. He wasn't dressed like their usual customers. He wore old boots, a plain t-shirt, and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. His beard was a little messy, and he didn't wear any flashy watch or designer clothes. He looked around slowly, quietly, not rushing to speak to anyone. Clara looked up from her phone and barely glanced at him. She rolled her eyes slightly and leaned toward her assistant, whispering, "Probably lost, or looking for the restroom." The assistant giggled. The man didn't seem to notice. He walked over to one of the shelves and gently touched a leather jacket, reading the small tag tied to it. He moved with care, like the items mattered to him. He didn't ask for help right away. He just walked, looking at the different clothes, sometimes smiling to himself, sometimes stopping to look at the stitching or the small labels. A few other employees offered him polite smiles, but none took him seriously. Clara, watching him from the counter, whispered again to her assistant, "We're not a thrift shop. What is he doing here?" They both laughed, trying not to be too loud. But something strange happened. A young couple in the corner suddenly turned, eyes wide. They nudged each other and stared at the man. One of them took out a phone quietly and started recording. The man noticed but didn't say anything. He gave them a small smile, a nod, and moved on. Clara saw this and scoffed. "Do they think he's someone famous? Please. He's just another weird guy in a cap. Look at those boots," she whispered again, smirking. Then finally, the man approached a display near the front where colorful scarves were folded neatly. He picked up a deep red one and ran his fingers over it slowly. One of the newer staff members walked over, trying to be polite. "Would you like to see more of these, sir?" she asked. The man smiled. His voice was calm and soft. "No, thank you. This one just reminds me of someone. My mother used to wear scarves like this, handmade. She said you could feel the heart of the maker in the fabric." The young staff member paused, surprised by the unexpected emotion in his words. "That's very beautiful," she said. He smiled again. "It's a beautiful store," he said kindly. "You all take great care of it." Clara, hearing this from the counter, rolled her eyes one more time and said just loud enough for the assistant beside her to hear, "If that's Keanu Reeves, then I'm the Queen of England." She laughed again, but something about the way the man moved and made a few people pause. A customer near the door kept staring. Another whispered to their friend, "That's Keanu. I swear it is." Still, Clara didn't believe it. In her mind, rich people came in expensive cars, wore designer watches, and spoke with confidence. They didn't wear dusty boots or dress like a tired traveler. The man finished looking around and walked to the door. He paused, turned slightly, and said gently, "Thank you for letting me browse." He gave a small nod to the younger assistant who had spoken kindly to him. Then he left. The bell above the boutique door jingled softly behind him. Clara didn't even say goodbye. That moment felt small, almost forgettable. But what Clara didn't know was that everything she said, every cruel laugh, every whispered word, had been heard. Not just by her assistant or her staff, but by the internet, by the world. A phone camera had been recording from the side. And before the next morning, everything was about to change. The next morning, the boutique opened like any other day. Clara stood behind the counter, sipping her usual coffee with a proud smirk. She wore her favorite heels and a new gold brooch shaped like a star. She loved being seen as important. To her, the boutique wasn't just a store, it was a stage where she was always the star. One of the new assistants, Lily, walked in holding her phone and looked confused. She kept glancing at Clara, but didn't say anything yet. Clara didn't notice at first. She was too busy arranging a new display of luxury handbags. She hummed softly to herself, thinking she had done the right thing by keeping strange people like that man yesterday from spoiling the brand. More staff arrived, and soon whispers started. "Did you see it? It's all over the internet." "Wait, was that really him?" Clara finally looked up. "What's going on?" she asked, raising her eyebrow. Lily walked over slowly and handed Clara her phone. "This is from TikTok," she said. "It went viral overnight." Clara looked down at the screen. A video started playing. She recognized the boutique right away. The camera was shaky, taken secretly from the corner, but it was clear enough. The man in the baseball cap was walking around, touching clothes, admiring the leather jacket, looking gentle and respectful. And then the audio played. It was her voice, clear as day. Probably lost, or looking for the restroom, she had said. Then, more of her voice. We're not a thrift shop. What is he doing here? And the worst one, if that's Keanu Reeves, then I'm the Queen of England. The camera zoomed slightly to the man's face. Even under the cap, even with the beard, it was unmistakably Keanu Reeves. Her stomach dropped. Lily continued quietly. That video has 2 million views already. People are really upset. They're saying he was kind and respectful, and we treated him badly. Clara tried to laugh it off. It's just TikTok, she said. But her voice was a little shaky now. People forget these things in a day, but they didn't forget. Not this time. Within hours, Instagram was full of screenshots of the video. People posted angry comments. Some wrote things like, "You don't treat Keanu like that," or anyone, for that matter. "This is why celebrities stay hidden. They're judged no matter how kind they are. That manager should be fired." Even fashion influencers with millions of followers shared the clip. One posted, "So the nicest man in Hollywood walked into a boutique, and they laughed at him. Unbelievable." A famous YouTube channel made a video titled, "Keanu Reeves humiliated at boutique handled it with class." It had hundreds of thousands of views in just hours. Inside the boutique, the energy changed. Customers started coming in not to shop, but to whisper and look around. Some stood at the spot where Keanu had admired the scarf. Others asked questions. Is this where that video was filmed? Was it really Keanu? Did he buy anything? Clara tried to keep her head high. She even wore more expensive clothes the next day, trying to act like nothing happened. But her staff avoided her gaze. Lily, who used to greet her with a smile, now barely spoke. The owner of the boutique called. Clara tried to act normal on the phone. "It was just a misunderstanding," she said. "He looked like a regular man. How was I supposed to know?" But the owner didn't sound convinced. "Clara," she said coldly, "even if he wasn't Keanu, is that how we treat people?" Clara had no answer. The story kept spreading. News articles appeared online. Headlines read, "Keanu Reeves visits boutique. Gets mock kindness meets judgment. Keanu handles it with grace." Manager's words caught on camera go viral. Even people who weren't fans of Keanu felt upset. They saw a rich man being humble and being judged for it. They saw a quiet man being laughed at simply because he didn't look rich. Clara felt trapped. She deleted her social media. Her inbox was full of hate messages. Her LinkedIn got flooded with angry comments. Her pride, which once made her feel powerful, was now crushing her. One afternoon, a little girl walked in with her father. She pointed at the scarves and said, "This is where Keanu smiled, right?" The father nodded, smiling gently. "Yes, sweetie." He said it reminded him of his mom. Clara stood frozen behind the counter, hearing that moment from yesterday. The man quietly admiring the scarf, speaking with love about his mother, came back to her like a knife to the heart. She had laughed at that. She hadn't seen kindness. She had only seen his boots. She hadn't heard his soft words. She only heard her own voice in her head. Now, the whole world had heard her voice too. And no one was laughing anymore. The world was still buzzing about the video. News outlets picked it up. Fans reposted it again and again. But the man at the center of the storm, Keanu Reeves, stayed silent. He didn't post anything. He didn't complain. He didn't sue. He didn't even mention it in interviews. While everyone else screamed online, Keanu did what he always did. He stayed calm, quiet, and kind. That morning, the boutique was tense. Clara stood behind the counter, pretending to check the jewelry trays. Her hands trembled slightly. No music played in the background like usual. The staff moved quietly. They didn't gossip like before. Even Lily avoided looking at Clara. Then the door opened. Everyone looked up at once. It wasn't Keanu. It was a young woman in a dark suit. She carried a small folder in one hand and walked with purpose. She introduced herself as a representative from corporate. "I'm here to review yesterday's incident," she said calmly. Clara's face went pale. I can explain." The woman raised her hand gently. "Not right now. Please, just give me a copy of the schedule. I'd like to speak to each staff member privately." One by one, the employees were called into the office. Lily went first. She was honest. She told them exactly what happened. She told them what Clara had said, and how the man Keanu had never once raised his voice or acted rudely. He was gentle, Lily said. He even complimented the store, and Clara mocked him like he was trash. Other staff members said the same. He treated the clothes with more care than some rich people. He said something about his mother. It was sweet, I didn't believe it was Keanu at first. But now, I feel awful. The woman from corporate nodded, writing everything down. When it was Clara's turn, she tried to defend herself. I was just joking, she said quickly. I didn't know it was him. If I had known. But why should it matter who it was? The woman asked softly. Clara opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Then the woman placed a small note on the desk. It was folded neatly. This came directly from Mr. Reeves, she said. Clara stared at it, then slowly picked it up and opened it. The handwriting was simple, clean. The words were written in blue ink. No hard feelings. Everyone's fighting. A battle. I wish her peace and healing. Keanu. That was it. No anger. No demand for an apology. No shaming. Just forgiveness. Clara felt something inside her crack. All morning, people had been talking about her cruelty. All week, the internet had torn her apart. But the man she had insulted, he had only offered kindness in return. She had laughed at him, pointed at his boots, mocked his gentle ways, and he had still wished her peace. She sat quietly for a long time, holding the note in her hands. Later that afternoon, Lily found her in the back room. Clara wasn't doing anything, just sitting with the note on her lap. I didn't mean to be that cruel, Clara whispered. I didn't think it mattered. Lily didn't answer. She didn't know what to say. Clara looked at her and said, he was just kind, and I treated him like he was less. Why? Lily finally spoke. Because you forgot what kindness looks like. But he didn't. The boutique stayed quiet that day. No customers came in. No sales were made. But something changed in the air. For once, Clara didn't walk around like a queen. She didn't give orders. She didn't laugh. She didn't roll her eyes. She just stood by the scarf display where Keanu had paused. She touched the same red scarf he had admired and remembered what he'd said. You can feel the heart of the maker in the fabric. She had ignored those words. Now she couldn't forget them. Before she left that night, she folded the note and placed it gently inside her purse. It didn't feel like a pass or a lucky escape. It felt like a mirror showing her who she had been and who she had the chance to become. Keanu hadn't needed to fight back. His kindness had already won. The next morning, everything felt different in the boutique. The usual calm music didn't play. No one was smiling. The lights felt too bright. Clara stood silently behind the counter, holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold in her hands. Her eyes were heavy from lack of sleep. She had stayed up all night scrolling through comments, videos, and articles, each one worse than the last. It wasn't just a local story anymore. News channels had picked it up. Blogs were writing about it. Even celebrities had shared the video. A famous actor tweeted, Keanu is the most humble person I've ever met. What happened to him at that store is shameful. A fashion icon commented, treat everyone with kindness. Always. You never know who's walking through your doors. The video had crossed 10 million views. People were angry not just because it was Keanu Reeves, but because it reminded them of how often good people get treated badly, just because they don't look rich or important. Inside the boutique, the mood was heavy. The staff whispered quietly. Everyone avoided Clara. Even the customers who usually came in for early shopping didn't show up. The boutique felt cold. Then something unexpected happened. A delivery man arrived. He wasn't in uniform, but he held a large white envelope with gold trim. He walked straight to the counter and asked for the manager. Clara slowly raised her hand. The man handed her the envelope without a word and left. Everyone stared. Clara looked at it, confused. Then she slowly opened it. Inside was a printed letter, on official company paper. At the top, in bold letters, it read, to Clara, boutique manager. She began reading. It was from the boutique's owner. The letter was short but clear. The owner had seen the video. She had spoken directly to Keanu's team. And although Keanu had not asked for anything, not an apology, not punishment, the company had to respond. Clara was being removed from her position. She would no longer be the manager. Effective immediately, her nameplate would be taken down. Her access code would be reset. She could collect her personal items and leave by the end of the day. Clara's hands trembled as she finished reading. She looked up. The staff had heard everything. Some looked shocked. Some looked sad. But no one was surprised. For a moment, Clara wanted to argue. She wanted to say, it wasn't fair. She wanted to scream, I didn't know it was him. But deep down, she knew. It wasn't about who it was. It was about how she treated someone. And the whole world had seen it. She folded the letter carefully and placed it in her handbag. She walked slowly toward the back office, not saying a word. The boutique stayed quiet. Lily looked at the others and whispered, do you think she's okay? Another assistant said, I think she's realizing what kindness really means now. Later, Claire returned to the front one last time. She looked around the boutique not with pride like before, but with regret. Every corner reminded her of that moment. The scarf table, the jacket rack, the spot by the window where Keanu had stood. Before leaving, she stopped by Lily. With a soft voice, Claire said, "You were right. I forgot how to treat people. I forgot that kindness is more important than appearances." Lily nodded, unsure what to say. Claire reached into her purse and handed Lily the note Keanu had written, the one that said, "No hard feelings. Everyone's fighting a battle. I wish her peace and healing." "Keanu, keep it," Claire said. "Let it remind you what real strength looks like." And with that, she turned and walked out. The door closed behind her with a soft jingle. The next day, the boutique replaced Claire's name on the website. Customers started returning, curious to see the place where the Keanu story had happened. Some came in just to look at the scarf. Others asked staff what he was like. Lily told them the truth. He was quiet, kind, gentle. He thanked us even when no one helped him. People smiled and nodded. Some even cried. The boutique slowly became more than just a store again. It became a place where kindness mattered, not because of who walked in, but because of how they were treated. And though Keanu never returned, his presence stayed in every folded scarf, every polite greeting, and every quiet reminder that kindness, once given even when ignored, never truly disappears. The internet didn't slow down. In fact, it only grew louder. The video of Keanu Reeves in the boutique kept spreading. More and more people watched it, shared it, and commented with disbelief and anger. One person tweeted, "He walked in with peace and they treated him like trash. Still, he smiled. Keanu is a treasure." Another wrote, "They judged him for wearing boots, but those boots have probably walked through more pain and kindness than they'll ever understand." The video reached celebrities, influencers, fashion designers, and fans all over the world. Even people who didn't follow Hollywood started sharing it. They weren't just defending Keanu, they were standing up for kindness, for humility, and for the idea that everyone deserves respect. News channels began covering the story too. On one morning talk show, a host said, "This is exactly why we say treat the janitor the same way you treat the CEO, because character is what matters, not clothing." In the comments section of every article, people wrote about their own experiences, how they were judged for looking poor, how they were ignored in expensive stores, or how a kind word had once saved their day. The boutique, once known for quiet luxury, was now famous for the wrong reasons. Its online reviews tanked overnight. People left angry one-star comments like, "Shameful behavior. I'll never step foot in there again. They lost my respect. Keanu deserves better. You mocked a man who's done more for others than your entire staff combined." The store's Instagram page was flooded with comments. Some defended the staff who had been kind, but most demanded answers. The boutique had no choice but to respond. They released a public statement. "We deeply regret the behavior shown in the viral video. What happened does not reflect our values. We apologize to Mr. Reeves and to the public. The staff involved is no longer with us. We are working on rebuilding trust through respect, kindness, and change." The post got thousands of likes, but even more replies. Some forgave, some didn't. Meanwhile, Keanu remained silent. He didn't post anything. He didn't speak to the press. He didn't try to defend himself or attack anyone. But a few days later, one small story came out that changed everything again. A worker at a nearby bookstore tweeted, "Keanu came in quietly today, bought 3 books, asked if we were okay with all the internet noise, said he felt bad the staff was getting so much hate. He said, 'Let's not make people suffer more. Let's move forward with love.'" That tweet went viral too. People couldn't believe it. He had been mocked, humiliated, and turned into the center of a public storm, and yet he was still thinking of others. "Sty," one of the younger employees said softly, "I think he taught us more in 10 minutes than most people teach in a lifetime." That night, Lily sat by the front display where Keanu had stood. She carefully picked up the red scarf he had admired. She held it in her hands and thought about everything he said. You can feel the heart of the maker in the fabric. He had felt something in the scarf. And now, the whole store was feeling something in return. The boutique, though bruised by the backlash, began to change. They started offering workshops to teach staff empathy and respect. They added a small handwritten sign at the front of the store. "Everyone is welcome. Every story matters." Some customers returned, curious. They asked questions. They spoke kindly. Some even came in just to share their own stories of kindness. It wasn't just about fashion anymore. It was about healing. And while Keanu never came back to the boutique, his impact never left. He didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need revenge. He simply walked in with kindness and walked out with the world behind him. A few days after the apology was posted online, something strange happened at the boutique. People started coming in not to shop, but to look around. Some walked slowly to the scarf section. Others stood near the door, where Keanu had once paused and smiled. They weren't rich customers or fashion lovers. They were regular people. Some came alone, some brought children. Many carried phones. Taking quiet photos of the boutique, Lily noticed one woman staring at the red scarf. She looked like she might cry. "Can I help you?" Lily asked gently. The woman smiled. "No, thank you. I just wanted to see the place where Keanu stood. My husband passed away last year. He used to say, 'Always be kind, you never know who needs it most.' And when I saw that video, I just felt something." Lily didn't know what to say. She simply nodded. More people came over the next few days. Some left notes on the boutique's doorstep. Some wrote kind words on napkins. One little girl handed Lily a hand-drawn picture of Keanu smiling with the words, "Thank you for being nice." Even though Keanu himself never returned, his spirit was now part of the store. The boutique was changing, not just because it had to, but because the staff wanted it to. One morning, the owner of the boutique walked in. She wasn't wearing a designer suit like usual. She wore jeans and a simple blouse. Her eyes were tired, but calm. She asked to speak with the entire team. They all gathered near the center of the boutique, around the red scarf display. Even Clara, who had returned just to drop off some documents, stayed at the back quietly. The owner spoke softly. "I started this boutique to sell fashion. Yes, but more than that. To celebrate beauty. Not just outside, but inside. Somewhere. Along the way, we forgot that." She paused, then added, "What happened here hurt our image, yes. But more importantly, it hurt real people. And it reminded the world of something important, that kindness matters more than anything." No one said a word. The owner continued. "I received a message from Keanu's team. Not a legal threat, not a demand. Just a short message from him. It said," she pulled out her phone and read from it, "I hope the store finds peace. I hope the people inside find purpose. There is still good there." Some staff members gasped quietly. "He really said that?" One whispered. The owner nodded. "Yes, he believes in us." Even after what happened, everyone stood in silence, processing the words. Clara, from the back of the room, suddenly stepped forward. She looked different, not proud or polished like before. Her face was softer, her eyes watery. "I want to say something," she said quietly. Everyone turned to her. "I was wrong, deeply wrong. I judged someone by his looks. I laughed at kindness. And now the whole world knows. But what hurts most is not that I lost my job. It's that I hurt a man who showed only grace." Her voice shook. "I've watched the video 100 times. I hear my own voice and wonder, who was that person? I don't want to be her anymore." Lily stepped forward, placing a hand gently on Clara's arm. "You're not her anymore," she said softly. Clara wiped her tears and nodded. "I just want to say thank you to him. To all of you. And I'm sorry." There was a long pause. Then the owner said, "Let this be our new beginning, for all of us." She walked over to the red scarf, picked it up, and placed it in a glass frame. She set it near the front of the store. Below it, she placed a small card that read, "Kindness is never wasted. Inspired by a quiet moment and a humble man." From that day forward, the boutique was no longer just a place to buy expensive things. It became a space where people came to feel something. To remember his story. To believe in kindness again. And though Keanu Reeves never returned, his silent forgiveness had done something rare. It had changed hearts, healed wounds, and turned a moment of judgment into a lasting reminder of what true humanity looks like. The next morning, something felt peaceful in the boutique. The storm was over, but the memory stayed. The glass case holding the red scarf now stood near the entrance. Customers would pause to read the little card, "Kindness is never wasted. Inspired by a quiet moment and a humble man." It became a symbol not of fashion or fame, but of grace and change. More people started visiting not to buy things, but to be part of the story. Some came with flowers. Others brought their children. Some even left thank you notes. Most of them didn't talk about Keanu like a movie star. They talked about him like a teacher. A man who reminded the world how important it is to be kind, even when no one's watching. Lily noticed something different in the way people behaved. Customers who might have once been rude now spoke politely. They asked the names of the staff, smiled more, and listened. It felt like everyone wanted to be a little better after watching how Keanu handled everything. One man came in wearing muddy boots and torn jeans. A few weeks ago, Clara might have told him to leave, but now, the staff treated him with the same respect as anyone else. He smiled and said, "I didn't come to shop. I came because I lost faith in people, but that video, the way he didn't get angry, the way he forgave, it brought something back." Lily smiled. "It brought something back for us too." The boutique had changed, not because it had to, but because it had been touched by something real. And then one afternoon, something completely unexpected happened. A black SUV stopped quietly in front of the boutique. No security, no flashing lights. The door opened and a man stepped out. It was him, Keanu Reeves, wearing the same warm boots, the same soft smile. He walked through the boutique's front doors like any other customer, as if nothing had ever happened. Everyone inside froze. The music playing in the background seemed to disappear. Time stood still. Keanu looked around the store for a moment, then nodded politely at the staff. "Good afternoon," he said calmly. Lily stepped forward, stunned. "Mr. Reeves, we didn't think you'd ever come back." He smiled gently. "I didn't plan to. I was just in the area. Thought I'd stop by." He walked over to the scarf display, the one now protected in the glass case. He read the small sign. His smile grew softer. "You framed it," he said. Lily nodded. "Yes, it meant something to us. You meant something to us." Keanu turned to look at her. His eyes were kind, warm, and sincere. "I didn't come here today to reopen wounds," he said. "I just wanted to say, thank you for changing. That means more than anything." He looked around the boutique. "This place feels different now. Lighter." The staff stood quietly, watching him with respect. He then looked toward the back of the boutique. Clara stood near the curtain, unsure if she should show her face, but slowly she stepped forward. Her voice was quiet, her head low. "Mr. Reeves, I don't deserve to speak to you, but if I may, I'm sorry, truly, for how I treated you, for how I judged you. I was wrong." Keanu looked at her gently. There was no anger in his eyes. "You were having a bad day," he said softly. "It happens to all of us." Clara was stunned. "You forgive me?" Keanu nodded. "Yes, of course. Holding on to anger just keeps pain alive. Letting go, that's where healing starts." Tears welled in Clara's eyes. "Thank you. I promise I'm not the same person anymore." "I believe you," he replied. He didn't stay long. He shook hands, took a photo with the staff at their request, and even signed the glass near the scarf. Just before leaving, he turned back and said one last thing. "You don't need money to be kind. You don't need power to change someone's day. Just be present. Be good." Then he walked out. The door closed behind him with the soft sound of the bell. No one spoke for a full minute. Then Lily whispered, "That wasn't just a visit. That was a gift." From that day forward, the boutique became known not just for what it sold, but for what it stood for. Visitors came from other cities. School children wrote essays about the story. A local newspaper titled it, "The Boutique That Learned to Be Kind." And the red scarf, it stayed in that glass case forever, because it reminded everyone who entered that one quiet act of kindness, one soft smile can change the world. Months passed, but the memory of what happened at the boutique never faded. The story of Keanu Reeves and the red scarf had become more than just a viral video. It had turned into a quiet legend, one that people shared with their friends, with their children, and even with strangers. New customers still came every week, not just to buy clothes, but to see the place where it all happened. Some took pictures of the glass case that held the red scarf. Others left notes beside it, saying things like, "Thank you for reminding us to be kind. I came here because your story gave me hope." Inside the boutique, the energy was different now. Softer, more human. The staff didn't just sell clothes anymore. They listened. They smiled from the heart. They made space for people to feel comfortable, no matter how they looked or dressed. Lily had grown into a quiet leader in the store. She trained new employees with care. She always reminded them, "You never know who's walking in, so treat everyone like they matter." Because they do. One day, a young girl came in with her grandmother. The girl walked straight to the scarf display and stared at it for a long time. Lily knelt beside her and asked, "Do you know who that scarf belonged to?" The little girl nodded and said, "The kind man." Her grandmother added softly, "She saw the video. It made her cry. She said she wants to be like him when she grows up." Lily smiled warmly. That's the best thing anyone could want to be. The boutique owner also noticed the change. Sales didn't skyrocket, but something more important grew: trust. People came back again and again because they felt welcomed, safe, seen. The boutique was no longer just a fancy store on a busy street. It had become a symbol. A reminder that people are more than what they wear, that kindness is stronger than judgment, and that real change starts with one small act. Clara, who had once been the proud, cold manager, now worked part-time in a small charity shop. She helped those in need find clothing with dignity and love. She told people her story when she felt they needed to hear it, not to gain sympathy but to remind them that people can change. She often said, "Keanu Reeves changed my life," without even raising his voice. She meant it. One morning, the boutique received a handwritten letter in a simple envelope. It had no return address. The handwriting was familiar, neat, thoughtful, and calm. It was from Keanu. The letter read, "To everyone at the boutique, thank you for showing the world that it's never too late to grow. I visited your store and left with nothing in my hands but everything in my heart. You reminded me that even the smallest change in the right direction can light the way for others. Keep being kind. The world needs more of that. With gratitude, Keanu Reeves." Lily read the letter aloud to the staff. By the end, everyone had tears in their eyes. They framed the letter and placed it beside the scarf. Now, there were two items in the glass case: the red scarf that started it all, and the letter that brought it full circle. The boutique didn't forget the day Keanu walked through their door, but more importantly, they never forgot how he made them feel. He didn't need to yell, he didn't need to punish. He simply walked in, offered kindness, and walked out, leaving behind a lesson that would last forever. That lesson echoed every time someone paused by the scarf, every time a child asked, "Is that really from him?" Every time a stranger smiled at another. Just because it was never about the scarf, or even about the man. It was about the choice he made to respond to cruelty with compassion. To answer judgment with grace, and to remind a noisy, divided world that kindness still wins. Always.